So going to your mat, find a wide knee child's pose. So knees are out to the outer edges of your mat. And then you can extend your arms towards the top of your mat, lengthen and allow your forehead to rest on the mat. And if at any time you have difficulty hearing me or something's going wrong technically, just put something in the chat box. And if child's pose is not comfortable for you today, then there is another option which I'll show. So that would be to come into a tabletop position with your hips stacked above your knees, and then just come down onto your forearms. So it's kind of a variation of puppy pose, and allow your head to hang if that feels okay. And then begin to observe your breath. Feeling the rise and the fall of your back body with each breath cycle. Allowing your body to feel heavy on your mat. And just checking in, noticing what you're feeling right now. This is a resting pose, and you're always welcome to come back to this pose at any point during this class. You might massage your forehead, gently rotating your head from side to side, if that feels good in your neck. Allow your breath to grow a little bit deeper. So really emphasizing the expansion of your back and side ribs as you inhale. And then you might exhale through your mouth. So maybe doing a couple more breaths like that with a deep inhalation that can be through your nose. And then sigh it out through your mouth. Keep that deeper breath for a couple more rounds. We're signaling to the body that it can relax, that it doesn't have to be in fight or flight right now. Few more breaths here. You can return to a normal breath. And then if you're in child's, go ahead and come up to your fingertips. So tenting your fingers. Your forehead can still be resting down, or maybe it rises up slightly. If you're in a variation of puppy, then you can extend one hand at a time. So getting a little bit of a stretch in your shoulders. Perhaps walking your fingers out a little bit more towards the top of your mat. And begin to walk your fingertips to the right corner of your mat. Your right hand might come off your mat. So getting a little bit more of a stretch on your left side and your left shoulder. Directing your breath to wherever you're feeling sensation, inviting a softening. And then crawling your hands back through center, make your way to the other side. Breathing into sensation here. Then making your way back to center. Stay here for 1 or 2 more breaths with your fingers tented. Nice, and then begin to draw your hands towards your face and make your way up to a tabletop position. So this is where it might feel good to have a blanket underneath your knees if it wasn't already there. So then tabletop, your knees are about hips distance apart and they're stacked directly underneath your hips. And then your wrists are going to be stacked underneath your shoulders. If you have anything going on in your wrists where they're uncomfortable, then you can always come up onto fists. We'll take a couple of cat-cows here, just traditional cat-cows. And so on an inhale, your belly is going to drop, your tailbone and gaze lift. As you exhale, press your mat away from you, round through your shoulders, scoop your tailbone, allow your chin to tuck. Inhaling, dropping the belly, lifting the heart, the tailbone. Exhaling, rounding through the shoulders, coming into your cat. Shin drops. Continue with your own breath cycle, a few more rounds of just traditional cat-cow. One more round here. And then we're going to take a variation. So the next time you come back to center, we'll start this again, coming into your cow, inhaling, allowing your belly to drop, tailbone and chin lift. And then as you exhale, press your mat away from you, round through the shoulders, and begin to sit your hips back as if you were coming back into child's pose. You can spread your knees a little bit here if necessary. Then come onto your forearms, come back up into your cow, belly drops, tailbone and gaze lift. Exhale, press your mat away from you, round through your shoulders, move back towards child's pose. So continue like this, a couple more rounds on your own. Don't worry about what this looks like. Let your body be the guide here. And then the next time you sit your hips back towards your left heel. And then come back through center, inhale, come into your cow, and then sit your hips back towards your right heel. So noticing how this might change sensations in your hips and your legs. Continuing a couple more rounds on your own. So we're almost doing little half circles on either side, while continuing to move through these flexion and extension movements for the spine. Do one more round on each side. And then when you're done, make your way back to center, find yourself back in tabletop. Draw your low belly in and up a little bit here, just so that your core is a little bit engaged. And then on an inhale, send your right hand high, reach for the sky. We're coming in to thread the needle, and as you exhale, thread that arm underneath your other hand. So you're coming down onto your right arm, your right shoulder, your left hand, left fingertips can extend out towards the top of your mat. Continuing to breathe here. You might sit your hips back a little bit. Couple more breaths. Then begin to draw your hand towards your face. On an inhale, press your hand into the earth, sweep your other fingertips high. And then exhale, return them down, turn your hand down to the mat. And then we'll take the other side. So again, having a little bit of engagement in your belly here. Inhale your left fingertips high, reach for the sky. And then exhale, thread that arm underneath your other hand, coming into thread the needle second side. Perhaps walking your right fingertips up towards the top of your mat. Looking for a deeper breath, even though you're a little bit twisted here. Perhaps sitting your hips back a little bit. Couple more breaths. Begin to slide your right hand towards your face. Press that hand into your mat as you sweep your fingertips high. And then exhale down, coming back into table. And then from here, we're going to move up onto our shins. So you're just going to come all the way up. So you're on your shins here. On an inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, allow your palms to gather in front of the heart. Nice. We'll do this again. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. You can lift your gaze. Exhale, hands in front of heart. One more time, sweep the hands overhead. This time as you exhale, bring your hands behind your low back. Fingertips are pointed down, elbows drawing towards each other. And then lift your gaze a little bit, maybe taking a slight back bend and a variation of camel. Your hips might be coming forward a little bit. Just making sure you're not causing strain in your neck. Nice, and begin to come back up. Inhale, reach your hands high. Exhale them down in front of your heart. Then bring your hands to your hips and then take your right foot out to the right side of your mat. So we're coming into gate. So your foot is more or less in line with your knee. And then we're gonna inhale and reach the left fingertips high. And then as you exhale, begin to bend to the right. So I'm mirroring you here. And then your other hand can come down your leg, resting anywhere except on your knee joint. So just avoid your knee joint. Breathe here, a couple of breaths. On an inhale, come back through center, and then allow your left hand to come down all the way to the earth. Extend your right fingertips high. So we're in a side plank variation. Continue to extend and reach through those fingertips. And then bend your elbow, take your hand behind your head, so you're cupping the back of your head. And as you inhale, begin to lift your heart towards the sky. And then as you exhale, draw your elbow down towards the earth. Inhale to come back up, lifting the heart, lifting the gaze. Exhale, drawing the elbow down towards the earth. So just doing an opening and closing with your own breath. Continue a couple more rounds. Nice, and next time you inhale and come up, come all the way up. Bring your hands overhead. Exhale them down in front of your heart, and then bring your hands to your hips. Draw your knee in underneath you, and then we'll take the second side. So left foot comes out, toes are pointed towards the front of your mat. Foot is in line with your knee. Inhale your right hand high, and then exhale, bend to the left. Couple of breaths here. And then come back through center on an inhale. Allow your right hand to come all the way down. Reach the left fingertips up. Side plank variation. Extending through the fingertips. And then bend your elbow, cup your head with your hand. Inhale, lift your heart towards the sky. Exhale, draw your elbow down towards your mat. Inhale to open. Exhale, release. A couple more times with your own breath. The next time you exhale your arm down, make your way back into a tabletop position. Draw your knee back underneath you. And then we're gonna do a little bit of brief core here. So find your tabletop position, draw your low belly in and up, and then extend your right leg back behind you. So you're lifting your right leg up so it's about parallel to the earth. Toes are pointed down. You're pressing back through your heel. Your low belly is engaged. Hands are pressing equally on your mat. On an inhale, press your right heel back a little more. And then as you exhale, draw your knee towards your nose, round through your shoulders. Inhale to send it back again. Exhale, draw your knee towards your left elbow. Inhale back. Exhale, knee to right elbow, outer elbow. Inhale, press your foot back. Exhale, knee to nose, round through the shoulders. And then inhale back again. And then as you exhale, allow the toes to come down to the left side of your mat. And then gently send your gaze over your left shoulder. Getting a little bit of a side bend here. Reconnect with your breath. Nice, and then on an inhale, send your leg back again. And then exhale, release into table. Reposition yourself if you need to. We'll do the second side. So with an inhale, send your left leg back behind you. Pressing through the heel, leg is parallel to the floor. Toes are pointed down, low belly is drawing in and up. You're breathing. Inhale to press your heel back a little more. Exhale, draw your knee to your nose, round through the shoulders. Inhale, re-extend your leg. Exhale, knee to right elbow. Inhale, re-extend. Exhale, knee to left elbow. Inhale back. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale to extend. And then exhale, allow the toes to come down to the right side of your mat. Gaze is slightly over your right shoulder. Breathing here. Nice, and then on an inhale, take your leg back behind you. Re-lengthen, and then exhale, come back into your tabletop. So we're gonna come into downward facing dog here. So take your hands a little bit wider on your mat. Spread your fingertips wide, and then either your pointer fingers or your middle fingers are parallel. Begin to press into the space between at the base of your thumb and forefingers. Have a slight gripping motion in your hands, and then begin to lift your hips up. Keep your knees bent here for this first down dog. Send your chest back towards your thighs. Pressing strongly through the hands. And you might pedal out the feet here, so lengthening one knee, straightening one knee, and bending the other. Or taking movement in the hips. Anything you feel called to do in this first down dog. And then we're gonna come into a little bit of a flow here. So on an inhale, lift your heels really high. Begin to shift your weight over your hands, coming in toward, as if you're coming into a plank. Lower your knees towards your mat, and then press into your hands, shift back to downward facing dog with your knees bent. So we'll do that again. Inhale your heels high. Shift forward as if you were coming to plank. Allow your knees to bend towards your mat. Press back, downward facing dog, knees bent. Continue like this a couple more rounds, flowing with your own breath. Don't worry about what this looks like. Just getting some additional movement in the spine. Nice. And then the next time you come back into down dog, stay there. Inhale your right leg up a little bit so your leg is parallel to the earth, toes are pointed down. And then exhale, draw your knee towards your nose. And then step your foot through in between your hands. Help it along the way as much as you need to. There's no rush to get there. And then we're going to allow the back knee to drop down to your mat. So again, you might want to pad your knee with a blanket. So we're coming into a low lunge Anjaneyasana. And you can start by bringing your hands to your top of your thigh. And just take a couple of pulses here. Beginning to get into the psoas muscle, that big hip flexor in the front of your back hip. And then press strongly into your front foot. Extend your arms alongside your ears. So we're coming into full expression of the pose. Inhale the fingertips high. And then as you exhale, lunge forward a little bit. Cactus your arms, lift your heart, lift your gaze. Inhale, press into the foot. Re-extend your hands high. Exhale, cactus your arms. Inhale to come up again. Exhale, cactus your arms. One more time. Inhale, reach. Exhale, cactus. Then allow your left hand to come down to your mat or to the outside of your mat and take your right fingertips high. So we're coming into a twist. Reconnect with your breath. Inhale, reach your fingertips a little higher. Exhale the hand down to frame your foot. Bring your other hand back in, lift your back knee, and then step back to downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg up so that it's parallel to the earth. Exhale, draw your knee to your nose, round through the shoulders, and then step your foot through. Coming into this lunge, second side. Allow your back knee to come down to the earth. And then just start with your hands on top of your thigh, taking little pulses. And then begin to press into your front foot. Rise up a little bit. Inhale your arms alongside your ears. Exhale, lunge forward slightly. Cactus the arms, lift the heart and the gaze. Inhale to reach. Exhale, cactus. Inhale up. Exhale, cactus. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, cactus. And then allow your right hand to come down to your mat, to the floor, and then reach your left fingertips high. Again, my hand is off my mat to give me a little bit more space for the twist. Inhale the fingertips a little higher. Exhale the hand down next to your foot. Bring your hands to frame your foot. Lift your back knee And then step forward. We're coming into a forward fold, Uttanasana. So have your knees a little bit bent here. Reach your fingertips down towards the earth. You might sway a little bit here. You can take a hold of opposite elbows. Let your head hang. Knees can be bent as much as you want. And then release your hands if you had opposite elbows. On an inhale, slide your hands up your shins. Lift up halfway, come up to a flat back, draw the crown of your head towards me. And then exhale, release. Do this again. Inhale, slide your hands up your shins, coming up halfway to a flat back. Exhale, release. Inhale up. Exhale, release. Nice. This time with knees slightly bent, press your feet into the earth, root to rise, sweep your arms overhead. Allow your palms to meet. Exhale them down in front of your heart. On an inhale, send your hands high. And then exhale, cactus your arms. Your hips come slightly forward if that feels okay. Gaze and heart lift. Inhale, re-extend. Exhale, cactus. Inhale to rise. Exhale, cactus. Inhale to reach, and then this time we're going to hinge at the hips and swan dive forward, coming back into your forward fold. Have a slight bend in your knees here. Inhale, lift up halfway to a flat back. Exhale, plant your palms on your mat and then step back into plank. So we're coming into a high plank here. So wrists are stacked under shoulders or maybe slightly ahead of your shoulders. Your low belly is drawing in and up. And then just take a couple of moments to rock back and forth on your toes. So inhaling, coming forward a little bit, exhaling back. Inhale forward, exhale back. Couple more rounds, keeping your low belly engaged. Nice. Next time you come forward, allow your knees to come down to the mat. Draw your elbows towards your ribs and then bring your chest and chin down to the earth. And then lower down onto your belly. If you're not coming down to your belly, for whatever reason, you can come down to a table. Otherwise, you're on your belly. Take a moment here to stack your hands, so one on top of the other. You might not be able to see me super well, but your elbows are out to the sides. Take a wide stance with your legs. And then bend your knees so that the soles of your feet are pointed up towards the sky. And allow your feet to tick-tock from side to side. So if you're in table, you can just shift your hips from side to side. Couple more breaths here. And then release your feet behind you. Let them come all the way down. Draw your hands next to your chest. Draw your elbows towards your ribs. On an inhale, press your hands into the earth. Lift up to cobra. Exhale, make your way back through table and into downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your heels high. And then step forward, come into a forward fold. Inhale again, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead, allow your palms to meet. Exhale them down in front of your heart. Take an extra breath here. Feel your feet rooted to your mat. Lengthen, lifting through the crown of your head. And then on your next inhale, sweep the arms overhead. And then exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Plant your palms on either side of your feet. Step back to plank. We're doing a couple of sun salutations here. Inhale, shift your weight forward a little bit. And then exhale, knees, belly, chest, come all the way down or flow through chaturanga if that's in your practice. Inhale to press up into cobra or up dog. Exhale, make your way to downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your heels high. Exhale, step or hop forward to meet your hands. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale to fold. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead, palms meet. Exhale them down in front of your heart. We're going to do this one more time. Same thing. I'm not going to cue this time, but I will be doing it with you. So when you're ready, you'll inhale your arms up and then hinge forward and begin. We'll meet standing with hands in front of heart center, feet hip distance apart. Take a moment to reconnect with your breath. And then inhale your arms high. Exhale, cactus your arms. Inhale to re-extend. Exhale, fold forward. This time, plant your hands and send your right leg back. So we're coming into a high lunge here, so back knee stays lifted. So take a moment here to find your strong stance with your feet. So press into your front foot and then rise up. So you can start with your hands on your hips if you're not sure with what your balance is like today. And if you're practicing for two, I would recommend staying here. Otherwise, you can inhale your arms alongside your ears. Really important that you make sure that your front knee is not going ahead of your ankle here, so just double check that. Finding a focal point or a drishti, as we say, something in front of you that's not moving will help with balance. And then squeeze your back glute, draw your inner thighs towards each other. Again, you can be here, hands on hips. If you're here and you'd like a little bit more of a challenge, you can begin to open up to the left for a twist, bringing the arms to a T. Continuing to breathe. Then inhale your arms overhead. And then exhale, allow your right hand to come down to your mat or maybe slightly outside your mat. And then extend your left fingertips high, coming into a twist. Inhale to reach. Exhale the hand down to frame your foot. And then we're going to step back into plank and flow through a vinyasa, or option to go directly back to downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, send your right leg high. So it can be just where we had it before, or three-legged dog. And then exhale, step your leg through in between your hands. We're coming into the high lunge, second side. So take a moment to find your footing. And then rise up, hands to hips to start. Squeezing your back glute, drawing your inner thighs towards each other, making sure that your front knee is not going ahead of your ankle. So again, option to stay here, totally fine. Or for more of a challenge, sweeping your arms overhead. And then again, option to stay here or open up into a twist to the right. Inhale your arms back overhead. Exhale your hands down to frame your foot. Step forward, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, press the feet into the earth, root to rise, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale them down in front of your heart. Take an extra breath here. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, cactus the arms. Hips come forward. Inhale to reach. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Bring your hands to frame your feet and then step your left leg back. So we're in a lunge to start, and then we're gonna make our way back into warrior two. So you're gonna spin your back heel down, and then we're looking for heel to arch alignment. Heel of the front foot is in line with the arch of the back foot. So go ahead and rise up. Your arms are out at a T. And then again, checking to make sure your front knee is not going ahead of your ankle here. Check to see that your feet are in alignment, heel to arch alignment. And then arms are reaching. So I'll turn this way so you can see. And there's a tendency for the front knee to fall inwards. See if you can actually bring your hand down and draw it out. I think you guys are actually going this way. I'm trying to mirror and getting myself confused. Inhale your shoulders up to your ears. And then exhale, roll them down your back. So your gaze is over your front fingertips. And then we're gonna come into a flow here. So with an inhale, you're gonna straighten your front knee, bring the arms overhead, the hands meet, lift your gaze. And then exhale back into warrior two. Inhale up. Exhale, warrior two. Finding integrity in the pose every time you come into it. Continue to flow with your own breath. Couple of rounds. Nice. The next time you come into warrior two, stay here. We're gonna make our way into reverse warrior. So you're gonna flip your front palm up. Inhale, shift your weight forward a little bit. Reach forward, scoop the air, and then exhale, reverse your warrior. So your hand, one arm is above you, and then your other hand is coming down your leg, or you can perhaps take a half bind if that's in your practice. Noticing if your front knee fell inward a little bit, see if you can draw it back. Nice, and on an inhale, come back to warrior two. Exhale, cartwheel your arms forward to frame your foot. You're gonna take a lunge with your back heel and then step back to plank. So you can flow through a vinyasa here or go directly back to downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, take your left leg high, as high as you want. And then exhale, step it through, coming into a lunge second side, and then spin your back heel down, looking for that heel to arch alignment. And then inhale your arms up to a T, coming into warrior two, second side, checking your foundation. Releasing your shoulders away from your ears. And then we'll begin to flow here. So with an inhale, straighten your front knee, reach the hands towards each other, lift your gaze. Exhale, warrior two. Continuing with your own breath rhythm. Few more rounds. The next time you're in warrior two, stay there. We'll get ready to reverse our warrior. So flip the front palm up. And then inhale, begin to lean forward, scoop the air, and then exhale, reverse your warrior. Inhale to come back to warrior two. And then exhale, cartwheel the arms down to frame the foot. Take a lunge with your back heel and then step forward into Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, the palms in front of the heart. Nice job. So from here, we're going to come into warrior one. So from standing, so bring your hands to your hips. And then we're going to take a big step back with the right foot. So it doesn't have to be a huge step, but just you want to still feel stable. And then your feet are on train tracks here, so parallel tracks, unlike warrior where they were lined up. So look down and make sure your feet are on separate tracks. Your front foot, toes are pointed towards the front of your mat. Your back toes are pointed out about 45 degrees. And then you're going to bend your front knee. Getting ready for warrior two. Bring some weight into the heel of your back foot here. Keeping your hands on your hips for a moment, squaring your hips towards the front of the mat. If you're feeling that your back knee is being torqued or tweaked here in a weird way, you can always shorten your stance a little bit. And then inhale your arms alongside your ears. Take a couple of breaths here in warrior one. We're going to come into a flow here as well. So inhale, reach through the fingertips. And then exhale. Okay, hold on. Let me start that again. Stay where you are. Inhale, straighten your front knee. Reach through your fingertips. And then release your hands down as you rebend your front knee. And then we're going to inhale up. So we're kind of doing the opposite of what the classical pose looks like. So we're inhaling, reaching, straightening the front knee. Exhaling to bend. Flowing with our breath. The idea with this is it helps us, these little flows that we're doing, it helps us to stay connected to our breath, which again calms the nervous system. One more round. Nice. And the next time you come up, reach your fingertips high, bring your hands to your hips, and then rebend your front knee. Then you're going to take your hands behind your back. You're going to interlace your fingers behind your back and then begin to lift through the heart, lift your gaze. We're coming into humble warrior. So what that looks like is you're going to begin to come forward towards your bent knee, bringing your elbow, so your left elbow near your left knee. So it might rest on your knee, you might come within your knee, or you might not be anywhere near your knee. And that's okay. So the point is that you're just reaching your fingertips back behind you in humble warrior. Letting your neck release for a moment. Nice. And then inhale, press into your foot to come up. Bring your hands to your hips here. And then we're going to lift the back heel. We're coming into a balancing pose. So if you're practicing for two, I'm going to have you do something different. Just stay here for a moment. So for everyone else, what you're going to do is bend your back knee a little bit. So your front knee is still bent. Take a little bit of core engagement. And then we're going to come forward and sweep your back knee forward so that your back knee is now lifted in front of you. Sole of the foot is parallel to the earth. If you're practicing for two, I'm just going to have you come into a low tree. So resting your heel against your ankle. Otherwise, you're here, you're balancing, you're breathing. And again, finding a focal point down on the floor, something that's not moving can be helpful. So you can stay here if you want a challenge. You can begin to reach for your knee with the opposite hand and extend your other hand back behind you, coming into a twist. Totally optional. Depends on if you want a challenge or not. Nice, and then begin to come back to center. Keep your knee lifted, your foot lifted. Bring your hands into prayer. And then you're gonna cross your foot, your ankle over your standing knee. So we're coming into a standing figure four. Begin to send your hips back a little bit. Your front foot is flexed. So you might be feeling something in your outer hip, your right hip. That's what we're going for. Nice, and then on an inhale, come up, release, shake everything out. Nice job. And then we'll do the second side. So again, standing with feet hips distance apart, bring your hands to your hips, and then take a big step back with your left foot. So we're setting up for warrior one on the second side, making sure your feet are on parallel tracks, squaring your hips towards the front of your mat, and then bending your front knee. Bringing weight into the back heel, the outer edge of the back foot, making sure your knee is not going ahead of your ankle. And then inhale your arms up alongside your ears. This time we'll do the opposite flow with the arms. So inhale to reach, and then exhale, straighten your front knee, allow the hands to come down. Inhale to rebend your front knee, extend the fingertips high. Exhale, straighten, lower the hands. Continue a couple more rounds with your own breath. We'll do 2 more rounds. And the next time you come up and your knee is bent, stay there. And then interlace your hands behind your back again. Put the opposite thumb on top, so it's probably the awkward grip. Inhale, lift the chest towards the sky. Reach the hands back behind you, and then begin to draw your shoulder forward, allowing it to come near or perhaps on or perhaps inside your knee. Reaching the fingertips back behind you, away from you, allowing the head to hang. Inhale, press into your front foot to come up. Nice job. Bring your hands to your hips. Span your back heel up. Take a little bit of a bend in your back knee. And then again, if you're practicing for 2, you're going to come into a low tree. Otherwise, bringing weight into your front foot, begin to sweep your back knee forward. Coming into the balancing pose. Connecting with your breath. Low belly is engaged. Micro bend in the knee of the standing leg to protect your knee. Then again, stay here if you'd like, or if you'd like a challenge, you can begin to twist, bringing your opposite hand towards your knee. You might find that one side was easier than the other, as I'm finding, and that's okay. If you're in the twist, come back to center. Bring your hands into prayer, everyone. And then begin to cross your ankle over your knee, sitting your hips back. Coming into standing figure 4. Keeping your foot flexed. Breathing. And then with an inhale, begin to rise up and release. Shake everything out again. Nice job. So from here, we're gonna come onto our mats. We're gonna take our feet wide, lengthwise on our mat. So we're coming into a wide-legged forward fold. I'm just gonna show you here. So you're gonna come here. Your feet are parallel, and then inch your heels out a little bit so that you're a little bit pigeon-toed. Bring your hands to your hips. Inhale to lengthen through the crown of your head. And then exhale, begin to hinge at the hips and fold forward, bringing your fingertips down to the earth, allowing your head to grow heavy. And you might shake your head no and nod it yes a little bit. That feels okay in the neck. You can reach for opposite ankles. So allow your body to be the guide, to tell you what it wants here. Finding your breath. Everyone looks good. And from here, we're going to come into a little bit of a side lunge. So there's options for how deep you can go here. So begin to walk your hands towards your right foot, bend your right knee, and this might be enough. So we're looking for a stretch here on the inner thigh. And if you want to come into Skandasana, you'll begin to bring your weight all the way over to the right, lifting your toes up to the sky. You can take a mudra here if this is in your practice. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. We're just looking for a stretch here in the left leg, left thigh. And bring your hands back to the earth if they were lifted. Rise back up and then walk your hands to the other side, bending through that knee. Again, this might be enough, that's fine. Or you can begin to lift your right toes to the sky, perhaps taking a mudra. One more breath here. Nice, and then begin to walk back to center. Take one last forward fold, draw your head towards the earth. And then we're going to make our way back into downward facing dog. So depending on how you're oriented on your mat, you're going to make your way into a lunge towards the front of your mat. And then step back into plank. So you can flow through a vinyasa here or go directly back to downward facing dog. If I could talk, that would help. And then we're getting ready to come into sleeping pigeon. So you'll inhale your right leg up, however high you want. And then exhale, draw your knee towards your wrist. Allow your knee to come down next to your right wrist. And then spin your foot inwards. So you're looking for, and then begin to come back on your back leg. So you're looking for your heel, the heel of your right foot to be directly, more or less under your hip, your left hip. And then your knee is out towards the outer edge of your mat. So continuing to scoot your leg back as much as is needed here. Stay lifted for a moment, so I'm up on my fingertips. And then we're going to inhale to lengthen through the spine. And then exhale, begin to come forward if that's okay. So this might actually be enough for some people. And if this is too much, I'm going to show you an alternative, so just hold tight. Otherwise, you might come down onto your forearms here, allowing your head to hang. And if this is way too much for you, then that's totally normal and fine. You can spin onto your back and do figure four on your back. So basically what we did standing, you can cross your right ankle over your left knee, and then gently press your thigh back, or interlace your hands underneath your knee and draw your leg towards you. So wherever you're at is totally fine. See if you can allow yourself to let go a little bit here. Sometimes we store a lot of energy in the hips, a lot of tension. You can always come out before I cue it, otherwise we're here for a couple more breaths. Allow yourself to release tension from your jaw. Allow your face to be soft. Last few breaths here. Nice, and then to come out, if you're in sleeping pigeon, you'll begin to walk back up onto your hands, tuck your back toes, lift your knee, and then make your way back to downward facing dog. Taking your time, there's no rush. If you're on your back, just begin to take the second side. Otherwise, you're going to inhale your left leg high. Exhale, draw your knee towards your left wrist, and then allow your knee to come down to your mat. And then clock your foot inwards, looking for that heel to be more or less underneath your hip, and then walk that leg, scoot that leg back. Inhaling to lengthen, and then exhaling to come down as much as you can or want to. Our hips tend to be very asymmetrical, so you may find that one side is much more open than the other. And that's okay, that's normal. Just honor that in your body. If you need to spin onto your back for this side, that's okay too. Allow your head to hang if that feels good. About one more minute here. Again, you're always welcome to come out before I cue it. Last few breaths. With an inhale, begin to walk your hands underneath you. Lift your back knee, make your way into one final downward facing dog. This is to level out your pelvis. And then lower down to your knees and begin to make your way onto your back. Taking your time. We're going to be setting up for a couple of bridge poses. So you'll keep your knees bent and then come down all the way to your back. You can remove, if you have a blanket on your mat, I'm just going to leave mine here, but you can remove yours if it's bothering you. And then you're going to have your feet hips distance apart. Draw your heels towards your sitting bones. So almost like you could touch your heels with your fingers. And then I like to take robot arms here. So just bending my elbows 90 degrees. So fingertips are pointed up. I press my upper arms into the mat to lift my chest. Then press into the earth with your feet and begin to lift your hips. Once your hips are high, you can release your hands down. They can just rest on the mat, or you can interlace your hands, your fingers underneath you, behind you, and roll your shoulders under you. So wherever you're at is fine. Note that there's a tendency for the knees to splay here. See if you can draw them towards each other a little bit. Can you lift your hips a little higher? Nice, and then release. Remove your shoulders if they were underneath you, let them come back out, and then lower down one vertebra at a time. And then we'll take the counter pose, which is constructive rest. So bring your feet wide on your mat, and then allow your knees to tent. Couple of breaths here. We're gonna do one more round. And then setting up again, walk your feet to parallel, making sure your heels are near your sitting bones. Take robot arms, press your arms into the earth, lift your chest, your heart, press your feet into the earth, lift your hips, and then allow your hands to come down. If you interlaced your fingers before, take the opposite interlace, roll your shoulders underneath you. Continue to energetically draw your knees towards each other. Breathing here. Can you lift your hips a little higher? And then begin to release. Slowly making your way back down. Taking constructive rest. One last time. Just for 2 breaths. And then keeping your feet wide on your mat, you can begin to allow your knees to fall to one side and then the other. So allow your knees to tick-tock, opening up the sacrum. And nice, then come to stillness and come to center and then draw your knees in towards your chest. So you can have your knees together if that feels good, and you can draw circles with your knees, or you can have your knees wide. So just again, letting your body tell you what it wants. You might rock from side to side. And then keep a hold of your right knee. Allow your left leg to come down long onto your mat. Draw your right knee in towards your right armpit. Roll out your right ankle, circling one way and then the other. And then we're coming into a twist. So begin to draw your right knee across your body to the left. So you might shift your hips a little bit to the right. And then allow the knee to come down towards the floor. It's okay if it doesn't reach the floor. You might just allow your left hand to rest on top of your right thigh. And then take your right arm out to the right if that feels okay in your shoulder. Gaze can be overhead or slightly to the right if that's okay in your neck. Allow your face to be soft. Softening through your belly. And on an inhale, you're going to make your way back to center. Plant your right foot down onto the earth. And then draw your left knee towards your chest. Extend your right leg long. And then draw your left knee towards your left armpit. Circle out your ankle a couple of times. And then preparing for the twist on this side, you might shift your hips to the left a little bit as you begin to draw your knee across your body to the right, allowing your hand to rest on your thigh, taking your left arm out to the side. Again, gaze can be overhead or slightly to the left. savoring these last few moments of your practice, of this time that you carved out for yourself. Knowing that anything you have to do or think about can wait a few more minutes, allowing yourself to be fully present, bringing your awareness to your breath if that's helpful. Last couple of breaths here. Begin to unwind, making your way back to center, planting your left foot onto your mat, shifting your hips back to center, drawing your knees to your chest one more time, and then option to take any last final movement or pose that you'd like. So maybe that's a happy baby, soles of the feet pointed towards the sky. Or if shoulder stand is in your practice, you can take that. Anything else, just again, letting your body be the guide. This would be our last final movement before Shavasana, our final resting pose. When you're ready, you can make your way to comfortable supine position, allowing the legs to extend long. You can roll your blanket and place that underneath your knees if you'd like. Put on an extra layer. Setting up,